What's up, y'all? I heard y'all trying to do a new build, but don't know what to work on, and y'all also don't want to work on your current car. Let's talk about some cars that you might want to look into if you want to start a new build. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Drake Speed Shop. We on a channel on YouTube that's named after a speed shop, but we ain't got no shop, no speed, but we working on it. Before we even jump into the video, y'all, go ahead and leave a like, comment some cars that you thinking of, and also go ahead and subscribe, y'all. We're working on some more videos of me kicking knowledge to y'all, and soon we're gonna come out with some more videos of me doing builds. Right now I'm cooking up something for y'all, but besides all that, let's just jump straight into the video. Anyway, today we're gonna get straight into it. Today we're talking about some platforms that I would say are really good first time car people builds, just for the simple fact that they're easy to work on, they have a great market behind them, and honestly, with market comes good community. And yeah, since they're simple to work on, and a lot of my videos I've been talking about here recently, we're talking about budgets, which if you have a great market behind it, it's easier to find parts at cheaper prices because they make parts for them more often. Great communities. So if you do have a problem or you can't figure something out, or just the resale market itself is way better. And yeah, let's just jump straight into it. Some of these platforms, I'd say if you're a beginner or if you're somebody who's been looking into cars but you're having trouble with it, these cars will kind of help you out when it comes to your builds. First on my list, I'm going to put anything really Silverado from, I would say, 95 up to like 2010. The reason why I put these trucks on this list is because they come with an LS based engine. Granted, they aren't the LS1 or anything like that out of the Corvette, but they're LS based. A lot of LS parts work on these engines. I put this on here because A, you can find these trucks everywhere for pretty cheap. Granted, they won't be in the best shape if you're trying to buy one for under, I would say around $2,000-$3,000. If you try to buy one under that, won't be in the best shape. But since it's an LS based engine, they're gonna be real easy to work on. For one, LS's easily have one of the biggest markets out there. For two, and three, they have one of the biggest communities. Everybody, you have yet to hear a build or a car that somebody's worked on, they either A, haven't talked about LS swapping the car, or B, have already LS swapped the car. Think about it. And then on top of that, with Silverado, say boom, you get tired of being on a truck platform, all you gotta do, yank the engine out of it because you already got an LS platform engine, and put it into whatever next build you got. On top of that, with LS's, trucks, all that, they're very, I would say, cheap and minimal to put mods on in the engine response to it. A lot of engines don't do that. For example, LS's, they already come off the factory around 200-300 horsepower, depends how well you or the previous owner took care of it. On top of that, you throw some nice headers, some injectors at it, and a cam, you can easily get up to $500-600 horsepower. You're only $500-600 in right there. But that's if you go budget. I know some people can go all out, get that biggest, heaviest cam, the biggest, strongest injectors, and so on and so forth to make $1,000 off of NA. But if you throw for example, Cletus McFarland's dumpster fire cam, some eBay headers, and a Amazon intake on the LS, you can easily jump up to around, like I said, $500-600, maybe even $700 if you tune it right. And then you're only a little under $1,000 right there. There's not too many cars you can get that much horsepower off that engine for that cheap, if we're being honest here. So, with all that being said, it's cheap for power. The power to budget ratio is one of the best. You can find them everywhere. You can find them in any type of condition that you want for pretty cheap. And like I said, they're easy to work on. So, that's why I have the Silverado or any LS based truck on the list. Alright, another car, which some people love and hate these cars. A lot of people love them. And that's the Honda Civic, to be exact. Of course, all Hondas, they kind of throw the same engine in some cars depending on the year and the model. But once again, they're just like the Silverados. They have a strong market. They're somewhat easy to work on, which I've seen some people when they build their Civic engines, their KAs and all that, they can kind of get into it. But they also have a strong community. Once again, like the LS, if you get stumped on something, you can just type in Honda Civic hatchback engine repair, and they'll probably pull up 1,000 different forums on the exact problem that you're having. A lot of cars don't have that. Civics and LS stuff, they have that. That's why any car with those two platforms or those two groups of motors, for any beginner, any person, you don't even have to be beginner, any person who's just looking to mod their cars, or anybody who's looking for a build who just don't know where to start, those are two top platforms I would recommend for anybody. Once again, because they're easy to work on. It can be cheap for performance because their market is great. You don't have to go searching for parts for weeks on end to find something. You can go type in, if you want to be super cheap, you go type in Honda performance parts on eBay right now, and they pull up 1 billion different parts, from turbo kits to camshafts. Everything on there. Shoot, I even seen people buy full-blown turbo kits from the exhaust ports back to the tailpipe for $500 off eBay, with injector tune and all. Granted, they won't be the best, but your entry to mods are way cheaper than other people. For example, I have a Ford Focus. I wouldn't recommend it to most people because the Ford Focus, especially like the Mark 1s, don't have a big modding community anymore. Parts also aren't sponsored that much no more. Well, not sponsored, but they're not manufactured that much no more, so they're hard to find. The only good thing about the Ford Focus, like I have, is it's super duper easy to work on. But at the same time, one thing goes wrong, the whole car don't work. So I would never recommend that car for somebody. And that's from experience, from myself working on the car, and one sensor just somehow disconnects and the car bricks itself. I've never heard anything like that from Honda. I've seen Hondas running off one cylinder and somehow pushing people from point A to point B back to point A with no problems. And that's why that's on my list. And on top of that, Hondas are also, just like LS-based cars, they produced billions of them. If you can't find them in the US, which is, if you can't find them over here, then I don't know what your problem is. You can find them overseas somewhere. You can find them in Canada. You can find them in Mexico. You can find them on islands. You can find them in Japan. You can find them anywhere. And they all have all different types of models with Hondas, especially the Civics and Accords. You can buy any of them from the time they were built to the time today. And they're still going to hold that. I wouldn't say they hold their value, but they hold their cool points, to say the least. Another car on my list is the Mustang. Simply, you can get a Mustang from the 1990s all the way up to today's Mustang. They're always going to have a great mod and community aspect, just like every other car on this list. The only thing about the Mustang is when it comes to the price, especially if you want something that either A, sounds good or actually performs like it should. Some things, like if you want to turbo the car, you're going to be in a pretty penny. If you want to cam the car, you're going to be in a pretty penny. You can get exhaust kind of cheap, but especially if you're getting like the, I would say 2015 and up, when you have like the Gen 2 Coyote and beyond, and you throw a cheap exhaust on it, kind of gets annoying. People don't want to hear that. And sometimes I know some people don't want to hear it themselves, especially if it's your car and you got to hear it every day. But outside of that, great platform to work on. You have a great community. You have great mods to do it. Everybody and their mama makes mods for this car. And two, it's another car just like the Silverado or not the Silverado, but the LS-based engines or vehicles with LSs in them. And Hondas, you type in Mustang engine problem, and you have 15 million and a half forums pop up with the same problem that you thought that you couldn't fix and other people didn't have. Once again, if you have an issue, it's easy to find the issue. If you need a part, it's easy to find the part. There's not much you can do wrong with a Mustang, especially with the 5.0 in it. Most mods you do to the engine's going to respond great to it. Just like the LS. Anything you do to it is going to respond good. Unless you got a cheap part that just doesn't do anything, the Coyote is going to respond to it. It can just be an intake. It's going to respond to it. It can be just an exhaust. It's going to respond to it. Shoot. You might have one of the baddest cars in your neighborhood if you just throw a Whipple on it. You might have the baddest car in the city wherever you're at if you just throw a Whipple on it. So keep that in mind when you're looking at builds. We're going to go to the next car. This one in 2024 is going to be kind of weird just because they kind of have the bro tax now. You always got to throw Miata on the list simply because, once again, it's another car that's super easy to work on from what I've seen. I haven't had the experience of really being around them that much outside of just seeing them. But if you can find one for cheap now, I would say do that. Get you a Miata because that's one of the easiest, cheapest. Well, I won't say cheapest anymore because they're starting to get the bro tax now. But if you can find one for pretty cheap, buy it. Simply, A, they got the bro tax now, so you can find it for cheap. You can probably do a little work to it and resell for a lot. 2, they're easy to work on in the sense of their engine's easy to work on. They have a great mod support, and they also have great communities behind them. And also, from what I've seen, it's one of the cheapest ways to get into rear power. You can LS swap it. You can just turbo the naturally aspirated engine. You can find turboed engines and just tune them. Granted, they got, like I said, they got the bro tax now, but if you can find them for cheap, I'd jump straight into Miata. I'm not gonna go too much into it more, just for the simple fact they have bro tax. But if you can find one for cheap, grab it as soon as you can. And the last car I'm putting on this list, because I'm not gonna sit here and yap on to y'all all day, is the 350 or 370. They're, in my eyes, they're just like the Miata right now. They got the bro tax, so now most people are trying to sell the cars for way more than they're worth. But they're easy to work on. Well, they're all right to work on. They have a great community behind them, and they also have very good mod support, like every other car on this list. That's the main reason why I'm putting these cars on this list, because they have great mod support. This is a modding channel. I gotta throw mod support on there for every car. I need a car, especially for my guys out there. If this is your first build or you're just now getting into builds, mod support is one of the best things you need, because if you're out here, for like example with my Ford Focus, it took me almost 2 years to find a good turbo header or manifold to actually fit the car that I have. Don't have great mod support anymore. But if you have something like a Miata or a 350 like I'm talking about right now, you type in anything, 15 different mods from one website is going to pop up, let alone whole websites that make stuff just for them cars. Back to the Nissan 350 or 370. Once again, great mod support, great community. It's another one that you type in something on Google and 11,000 forums pop up. It's another one that it's a really good entry car for a lot of things. So like, for example, if you want just a speed car, you can throw an LS in it. Or I've seen people throw Coyotes in it. Great straight line speed. You can also go into drifting with it. It's a great drifting platform. You can make it look cool, so you can just make it a show car. There's a lot of good things that go into this 350. If you can find one for cheap, or you can find one that is a little bit more expensive, but it's not tore up. Because some people, especially, once again, in our community, a lot of them tear their cars up. And 350 right now or 370 is one of those victims that they get tore up and then people try to get rid of them for a lot more than they're worth. But once again, if you find one for cheap or you can find one from a good seller, I'd go ahead and get it. Once again, it's a good entry platform for a lot of different motorsports, and it also has great community behind it, and also great mod support. From just modding the VQ engine, or if you just want to do a swap to a LS, Coyote, RB, anything like that, they already just make kits for it. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Like I said, I'm not going to sit here and ramble on to y'all too much. There's 1,000 different videos on this platform about this. This is just my opinions on great platforms for you guys. If you like the video, subscribe, leave a comment on some platforms that you would bring up or that you would like to work on, or ones that you're working on right now. Drop it down below in the comments. And once again, Thank you guys for watching. Love you guys. Peace.